There is a substance you are most likely consuming every single day without really thinking about it. And this exact substance exists within an extremely narrow range between safe and potentially harmful. We're talking about fluoride. And the real issue is not just that it has an effect, but how quietly it works. Not loud, not immediate, but slowly, over time, almost unnoticed, until something begins to shift. Because even relatively small amounts can start influencing processes in the body. And the longer your system is exposed to it, the greater the chance that this burden builds up, eventually reaching a state that could be described as chronic. The body is not passive in this, it tries to protect itself. And one of the most intelligent strategies is storage. Fluoride is primarily stored where it seems to cause the least immediate disruption, in calcified tissues, in bones, in teeth. There it can accumulate over years, sometimes decades. But this form of protection is also a compromise, because what the body stores away does not disappear. It remains part of your system. And these very deposits can begin to create their own effects. When too much fluoride accumulates, clearly documented conditions can develop, such as skeletal fluorosis or dental fluorosis. And this process does not begin at some point in adulthood. It starts much earlier, already in the prenatal phase. Fluoride can begin accumulating in tissues before birth. And what's particularly striking is this: even in ancient skeletal remains, these deposits can be detected, even though exposure back then was significantly lower than it is today, which means this is not something new. What we are experiencing now is an intensified version of something the body has been dealing with for a long time. But fluoride doesn't remain limited to hard tissues. It can also accumulate in soft tissues, especially in areas where calcification already exists. In the aorta, in the coronary arteries, in tendons, cartilage, and even in the placenta. And this is where things become critical. Because unlike in bones, calcification in soft tissues is almost never neutral. It interferes, it slows things down, it disrupts natural flow within the body. Especially in the placenta, this can mean impaired blood flow, and therefore a reduced supply to the developing fetus. And then there's this small, often overlooked organ that connects all of these layers, the pineal gland. About 150 milligrams in weight, roughly the size of a soybean, really small, and yet it acts as a central regulator of your entire system. It produces melatonin, the hormone that governs your sleep, your recovery, your internal rhythm. But melatonin is far more than just a sleep hormone. It acts as a powerful antioxidant, has anti-inflammatory properties, and plays a key role in your overall internal balance. While melatonin can also be produced in other parts of the body, in the skin, the gut, the bone marrow, reproductive organs, the central regulation, the actual conducting function, comes from the pineal gland. And this gland is unique. It has an extremely rich blood supply, stronger than almost any other organ. And at the same time, it sits outside the blood-brain barrier, which means everything circulating in your blood reaches it directly. No real filter, no significant barrier. And that's exactly why it is so receptive to calcium, to trace elements, and to fluoride. In fact, the pineal gland is considered the most fluoride accumulating organ in the human body. At the same time, it is one of the most heavily calcified. Calcium deposits there much like it does in bones, and this process often begins early in life, sometimes even in newborns. Some describe this as natural, but when you look closer, you begin to see correlations with a wide range of conditions: sleep disorders, migraines, neurodegenerative diseases, psychological disorders, brain tumors, ischemic strokes, and even accelerated aging. And now comes a crucial connection. These calcifications are often associated with extremely high concentrations of fluoride. Fluoride tends to accumulate precisely in areas where structural changes are already taking place. And this combination can directly affect the function of the pineal gland, especially the melatonin production. And that shifts something fundamental: your sleep, your recovery, your entire internal rhythm. Studies have even shown that adolescents exposed to higher levels of fluoride were more likely to experience sleep-related issues: increased daytime sleepiness, disrupted sleep, breathing irregularities during the night. And one possible explanation lies right there, in the altered function of the pineal gland. And if we go one level deeper, we begin to move beyond pure biology. Because the pineal gland has been referred to for centuries as the third eye, and this is not just symbolic. And some cultures even speak of the first eye, not the third eye. Within this gland, photoreceptor cells have actually been identified, cells capable of perceiving light, similar to those in your eyes, which means it responds to light. More specifically, to the light that is received through your retina and transmitted internally. And this is exactly why natural light plays such a crucial role. Sunrise, sunset. These transitional phases, these subtle frequencies, they have an effect on your system. There are even ancient practices like sun gazing, the conscious, gentle observation of the sun. But it's important to be clear, only at safe times, during the first minutes after sunrise or just before sunset, not during the midday. This is not about extremes, it's about subtle, natural input. And just as important as light is darkness. Deep, complete darkness. Even the smallest sources of light, your phone, an alarm clock, a standby LED, can interfere with melatonin production. Which means if your environment is not truly dark at night, your pineal gland cannot fully express its natural function. Another often overlooked factor is artificial lighting, especially fluorescent light bulbs. They emit a spectrum that does not align with our natural biology. They strain the eyes and can disrupt your internal balance. A potential alternative is full spectrum lighting, light that more closely mimics natural sunlight. It is even used therapeutically, for example in seasonal depression or sleep disorders. Because light is not just light, it is information. And then there is your own inner practice, your awareness, meditation. Gently directing your attention to the space between your eyebrows. Focus on it. No force, no expectation, just presence. And over time, something begins to shift. Subtle, quiet, but real. Support can also come from natural sources, plants like spirulina, chlorophyll-rich foods, turmeric, ginseng, or essential oils like frankincense, sandalwood, or myrrh. Crystals such as amethyst or lapis lazuli are also often used in this context, not as magic solution or esoteric woohoo, but as supportive influences. And at the foundation of all of this is still something very simple: your nutrition. Less highly processed food, fewer chemicals, fewer additives, fluoride-free toothpaste, more natural living foods, and when it comes to calcium, balance. Not too much, not too little, because excess can also amplify processes we may not want. In the end, this is not about creating fear. It's about awareness, understanding how sensitive your system truly is, how finely tuned your body is, and how deeply your daily environment, your light, your food, your habits influences your internal balance. And maybe it's also about something deeper: reconnection to your natural rhythm, to your inner perception, to your awareness, and to that small gland that might be far more important than you've ever been told. If you enjoyed watching this video, subscribe and like the video and see more of what truly means to you.